The Frontier Athletic Conference consists of Chillicothe, Hillsborough, Jackson, Greenfield McLean, Miami Trace, and Washington Courthouse. Their winter sports seasons have all pretty much gotten underway. However, Chillicothe making the announcement on Tuesday that they would be suspending their activities until January 5th. That throws a little bit of a monkey wrench into things as far as scheduling is concerned. We'll visit with Frontier Athletic Conference Commissioner Terri Tutt in just a moment to discuss what's ahead for the FAC competitions. But first, this. Husqvarna handhelds, chainsaws, trimmers, leaf blowers, hedge trimmers, and more. Buy it here, get it serviced here. Hometown Motors Incorporated, 818 Eastern Avenue, Chillicothe. Visiting with Terri Tutt, she is the commissioner of the Frontier Athletic Conference. Thank you for joining us. And we know that a monkey wrench kind of got thrown into the season with COVID-19, but also most recently with Chillicothe City Schools suspending their extracurricular activities, including athletic events, until January 5th. And I know that's created a bit of a problem for everybody in the FAC right now.
That's right. Well, happy Thanksgiving to you, first of all.
Yes.
And I feel like the whole fall going into winter has had one monkey wrench after another. And I feel like we're just going to have to get together and work through this the best we can. It's not just stressful for the FAC schools out there that are going to play. It's got to be stressful for Chillicothe.
One thing as we take a look at this, it's almost like having, one of the biggest snowstorms you've ever experienced, because suddenly, you're not going to be able to play for a while.
Do you remember last spring when we had the virus and we would shut down for maybe a week? We had different schools do that. That was just a short prelude of what we're doing now. And you're right. It's like a month of snowstorm, like the blizzard of 78.
I was there.
Me too.
And what I hated about the blizzard was, other than not seeing my friends, was at Tays Valley. We missed so much as far as dates are concerned. We had to make it up in Saturday school. That was no fun at all.
I can remember playing girls varsity basketball, boys varsity basketball, like up at Bishop Leger when they were in the league, when I played basketball. And that's all you played. You didn't play freshman. You didn't have JV. You just played girls and boys and just trying to finish the seasons.
Yeah. You and I were talking earlier on the phone about the regular season games that are going to be missed due to certain events like this, and able to play those even right up to the state championship games, similar to what we saw with the football season.
That's right. That's always been there in the OHSAA bylaws. The last date that you can play contest is just right up there at the window of the girls' state basketball for the girls and the boys' state basketball for the boys. Not saying we want to play into mid and late March, but who knows? We might.
Yeah. And that first round for FAC basketball, because they play each other twice, home and away, is going to be just 4 games as opposed to 5 as normal, just by not having Chillicothe participate.
That's right. That's right. And it just probably feels to Chillicothe like a nightmare trying to reschedule. The other schools in the FAC, they just have, Chillicothe to reschedule twice, but Chillicothe has a lot of rescheduling to do. So on that note, the FAC principals, which is our board of control, they passed a policy in the fall that the FAC games would take first precedence, or get the priority for rescheduling. So I believe we're just going to go right on through with that, and I know that these principals have the heart of the FAC first in their minds, and I believe that we're going to be able to get there.
Yeah. And on Chillicothe's side, I think they're missing a total of 10 boys basketball games during that period, 11 girls basketball games. 10 swim meets, I think, something like that. And 10 bowling matches, 5 swim meets, and 2 wrestling meets. So that's a lot of rescheduling, and that's just varsity contests.
Right. When I heard you say 10 and 11, they can play 22. So that's half the season for the girls and almost half the season for the boys basketball. Our hope is that our facilities for fitness stay open and we can keep having swimming and we can keep having bowling, because if those would be closed, again, that would sure put a hurt on all of Ohio with bowling and swimming.
Right. And in regards to the FAC, everybody's got swimming and everybody's got bowling. So they would certainly be hurt there as well.
We'd be going to Greenfield McLean. They have a natatorium.
Yeah, and I know they'll be able to make it work, but even looking at some of the recommendations by the OHSAA in regards to keeping separation, and even in the relay matches for the swim teams, each swimmer has to keep distance. They even cut down the number of lanes, and Greenfield only has, what is it, 6 lanes on their pool?
I feel like it's 4.
Okay. And much like the Ross County YMCA, I mean, you're pretty much cutting or multiplying, I guess, in that regard, all the heats and
Right.
and everything, and making it an even longer event.
Right.
Yeah, so much to concern ourselves with if things go south, so to speak. Give us, if you would, a look back through the fall sports seasons, because I know tennis and golf started way early in August, and by the time everyone got up and running with volleyball and football and soccer, we were right up to the last minute for those latter sports that we were talking about.
Unfortunately, we did not finish the league in a couple of sports, but it did not affect the standings, the league standings. So, right, we were up into the tournament, still trying to play tennis, soccer, volleyball.
So as you go around and visit, did you see some schools doing something that might work better at another school? Were you able to compare notes and maybe give them some suggestions?
Well, not really. The venues that I went to mostly were football, some cross country, and some golf. And I think that with those evaluators that come in, with their checklists and make sure that each school, they're the ones have given a lot of suggestions to the schools for what's working, what's not working, and what they're expecting to see when they come. That adds a little bit of pressure too, but I know it's important that we are doing social distancing correctly.
And I know, much like during a football contest, they have the get back coach reminding everybody to stay off the 2 yards off the sideline and everything. That's been something that's been going on for several years. But this year, I kept hearing, guys, spread out, just reminding them, because they all get caught up into the game and they all kind of huddle together a little bit. But other than that, I saw everything ran rather smoothly, I thought.
I did too. I saw a lot of really good social distancing. I don't think you can ever expect the teams to not go in and high five when they score a touchdown. I think those are unattainable. And I think that everyone kind of knew that. But I heard we have 2 new ADs, in the FAC this year. We've got a new one at McLean and a new one at Washington Courthouse. And they were asking a lot for help from the other ADs. Give us some idea, give us some insight, what works, what are you doing here? Are you putting down tape? You putting down chairs? Just, sharing a lot. Mentoring, I guess you'd call that.
Yeah. And communication is very key, and everybody wanted to be able to play. So I think a lot of people were sharing a lot of information this year.
Right. And that's the best thing I can say about the FAC and all of the OHSAA schools. We made it. We made it through the fall season with all of our tournaments. So it's something we didn't know for sure when we started back in August.
When the announcement came out on Tuesday about Chillicothe suspending athletics, much of that came from the recommendation from the health commissioner here in Ross County. The SVC schools, which had Westfall in Pickaway County and Piketon in Pike County, but the remainder of the SVC all decided to go ahead with what was in place already in regards to those recommendations from the OHSAA. Have you been seeing that similar in Fairfield County, or I'm sorry, forgive me, in Fayette County, in Highland County, as well as Jackson County for your member schools?
I only know for sure that they meet almost daily with officials from their own health departments. Sometimes they've been in there all day doing contact tracings and deciding what they're going to do if they have cases in their swim or cases in their wrestling. And so every health department seems to be handling it a little bit different, but you have to listen. You have to sit down with your principal and your staff and listen, and then make decisions with them for what's best for you at that point. Kudos to Chillicothe. That was a tough decision, taking their students first, and the OHSAA poll showed before winter that the majority of the schools still wanted to go forward with winter sports.
Well, you always put plans into place, and if you want to follow through with those plans after all the work's been done for them. So I'm sure they wanted to make sure they had plan A going, and with plan B and C as backups there.
Right. We meet, like I said, the FAC Board of Control will meet next week, and we'll have some things that will come out of that meeting as to where we're going to go from there. It's fluid. We change every week.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You have to be, much like we talked with the football coaches early on in the season, that you had to give it a game approach, react to what you're seeing, and just go with the flow.
Right. I think the kids are better at that than we are as adults, but right, we're doing it. We're being forced to do it.
Yeah. You had mentioned a moment ago about your playing days. For folks who aren't familiar, you played basketball and ran track at Huntington. And did you play volleyball also?
I did.
Okay. But a lot of folks don't know that you're also beyond the realm of Ross County. I mean, you have been with the Southeast District Athletic Board through the OHSAA, and you're on a national level scale as well as a national official. And I got to think that as we prepare for hopefully the Olympic Games this coming summer, you'll have a hand in that in some fashion. But in the same respect, there will be some continued guidelines carry over at the national level.
Right. In the USA track and field world, there are things that come out every week. Fortunately, I was chosen to be the head clerk of the Olympic trials for track and field in Oregon, and they're going to let that continue over to next year. So I don't, have to submit my resume and be selected again. So hopefully we get to there with the vaccine and COVID, and we'll do whatever they say to make it safe for those Olympic athletes to go through their trials and make it onto the Olympic team.
Yeah. And do you think would there be a possibility of moving that from Oregon if Oregon remains is restrained as they are in regards to their restrictions?
I think it is a possibility. I know it's been in Sacramento, California before. It's also been in Des Moines, Iowa. Oregon is the mecca of Nike and all of that for track. They just redone their track. It's called Hayward Field. They just rebuilt it. It was supposed to open up last summer, of course, and it hasn't. But so I'm going to say they're going to do everything they can to get back out there to Nike Town.
And you like those trips, no question, too, I'm sure.
Absolutely. It's beautiful out there.
Yeah.
I have relatives in Oregon.
I know that you've got another FAC meeting coming up next week, I believe. And so perhaps we can do a follow-up with you and find out, because we know that every school district is dealing with the COVID-19 circumstance, whether it be quarantining, and like we saw with Chillicothe in the playoffs this year, having to quarantine 39 players. And the valiant effort the Cavs gave against Miami Trace in that contest, the guys just ran out of go towards the fourth quarter.
That's right. And with, the 4 counties, we have ADs that will come to our meetings and say, hey, my health department told me this. And that will be different from what another county's health department tells them. So we will probably be having Zoom meetings once a week until we really get rolling and we feel like things are headed the right direction. So we're ready for the fluidity of COVID-19 and just ready to roll with the flow, so to speak.
The old sense of normalcy. Let's get back on track.
Right. Let's start playing basketball.
Well, Terri, I appreciate your time and your openness and candidness with us here, and hope you have a happy Thanksgiving and stay safe.
Thank you. Same to everyone as well. Thank you.